All Japanese bike producers have their flagship sports-oriented families of machines, easily recognizable by almost everyone. Those are motorcycles which participated in exciting performance war for decades. For a lot of us, however, it is Suzuki's GSXR series that always gained the most interest and admiration. It all started with the good old Slabby, considered by many as a granddaddy of the GSXR family. In this episode, we'll focus on the later iteration of the big GSXR offered by Suzuki in 1989 and 1990. GSXR1100K and L were offered on all major markets as an ultimate performance machine to compete with Yamaha's FZR1000, Kawasaki's ZX-10 Tomcat and Honda's CBR1000F. Out of all, Suzuki presented the most focused and sport-oriented approach, which directly contributed to the evolution of race-predisposed machines from Japan. Facelifted for 1989 and 1990, bigger Gixxer was available in 3 color combos with iconic white and blue Suzuki racing color scheme. Redesigned frame made of aluminum and new 4-in-2 exhaust system followed by 36mm carburetors are first new traits. Wider tires, promising more grip on the track, are another great feature. Speaking of tires, it's hard to believe that the first and early Gixxer slabside was actually using tires as wide as it could fit into Suzuki GS500. That's quite unbelievable. Other noticeable improvements have to be the brakes. 4-piston Nissan calipers are probably the most loved stoppers you can get for many motorcycles sold in the 90s. No wonder Suzuki used them on their RF900, Bandits and smaller 750 Gixxers. The biggest change as far as performance is concerned was obviously the engine. The 1127cc 16-valve 4-cylinder unit was so good and so tough that it became the most popular power plant for extreme modified creations on drag strips and raceways all over the world. It takes abuse with ease, it will cope fine with forced induction, and as an old saying goes, as long as there's some oil in it, you just can't harm it. Same as in old Slabby, Suzuki Advanced Coolant System was used. This incorporates front-mounted oil radiator and unmistakable cylinder ribs to provide cooling of the engine. Thanks to all of the above and 10:1 compression ratio, 143 horsepower and 115 Nm of torque was possible. Let's not forget that this type of numbers in late 80s was somewhat of a sensation. Acceleration is simply excellent. Good old Gixxer pulls adequately from low down and wakes up with typical 4-in-line aggressive and somewhat uncontrolled roar. It will post 0 to 60 in below 4 seconds and rip through gears until it gets you to its top speed of 160 miles per hour. Living with the old Gixxer is no different to living with any other old 80s motorcycle. It's a bit rough around the edges, cold starts can be hindered, and old-fashioned carbs can be a pain when neglected. Interestingly though, spares are still easily accessible, and sheer amount of bolt-on power mods make the ownership of this motorcycle a real hoot. Ignition advancers, dynojet carb kits, high-flow air filters or performance camshafts will allow to transform your antiquated Gixxer into an accelerating monster. If you wish to use it for 2-up riding, that's okay, because the seats are quite comfortable and passenger grab rail makes life easier when touring. Factory screen is actually pretty good too and allows high-speed highway blasts. Be warned, however, that this big old air-cooled mill generates some real vibrations at certain speeds, so tingling hands may occur. Dashboard has the necessary, but don't expect luxuries there. 5-speed gearbox gets clunky with mileage, and using full engine's potential will stretch the chain very quickly. Finally, if you like city riding during the summer, get some bacon and mustard, as this big old lump will fry your eggs before you even leave downtown. Sadly, we now come to an area where the GSXR falls on its face, and it's basically a total lack of riding comfort. Okay, I'll give it some credit for the seats, because those are actually quite soft and pretty okay. Factory placement of bars and pegs is just horrendous. Nevertheless, this is a sports bike, so it is to be expected. Very aggressive and typical 80s riding position made my knees suffer and my wrists to capitulate quickly. Good news is that you can opt for risen bars and lower pegs, and I swear to God, it makes a huge difference. I bought my higher bars on eBay, and I rate them 10 out of 10 for improving comfort. Performance, still acceptable handling even by today's standards, and very surprisingly low fuel consumption when ridden conservatively made me very happy. I was actually gobsmacked to see 5.8 liters burned over 72 miles of highway cruise. Even now, I still can't believe I've actually achieved that number. Nevertheless, for most of people, this bike simply looks like nothing else. It just looks spectacular. Its nostalgic styling brings back good memories, and riding this motorcycle is definitely one of the coolest things I've done in a long time. The coolness factor drives up the prices of this GSXR in a shocking pace. Those are getting really rare and desired nowadays, so if you want one, be ready to lighten your wallet. Unless you're interested with latter water boilers from mid-90s. But those are actually subject for a separate video. As always, thanks for watching, till next time.